Hello and welcome to another episode of a football chat show. Slightly delayed this week, but we've let the transfer window simmer down. We've let the rumours die down for at least a week or two. And we've had, I think it's 3/4 match days to talk about, which gives us plenty of content. I'm once again joined with Jamie. Jamie, how are you doing?
Yeah, much better than the last time we were recording.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. I mean, both our teams have collected the same amount of points since then. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, we haven't. No, we've collected 7. So no, we haven't. I was lying. I thought we have 9 overall, and I thought we got all those 9 since the last time we spoke, but we didn't.
You drew twice the last time we'd spoken.
Yeah, so we've only got 7 points, which is really bad. But we'll get onto that a bit later. As I obviously said, the transfer window has now ended. It ended without Frankie de Jong. He was in England, but he wasn't moving to a club. It ended up looking like Liverpool might go for Frankie de Jong at one point, which was a bit mental.
Yeah, I love that because it comes out. With Chelsea, I had the same thing. I was like, well, what do they think is going to happen? They're going to have the same problems that United have had.
The only reason I thought that Chelsea Liverpool might have more of a chance of the Champions League, you might go, yeah, all right, if you're gonna do it. But again, that is a conversation for later in the day. Today, I will talk about it, I think, because one of the answers to the questions I have will be centered around him. So that's the big thing. The transfer window has ended. We'll discuss who we think won it and who maybe had a poorer window. And I think the best place to start is who had the best window. So why don't we go straight in there for you and see who you think?
At the moment, with the games that have been played, it's difficult to not look at Arsenal and say that the players that they've brought in straight into their first team have really just, well, they've bought into that system really quickly. Obviously, Zinchenko and Jesus are straight from the top of the Premier League. So to bring them into a club like Arsenal has clearly done some good things for them. And then I think I'm not sure what to think about Forest yet.
No, I can't. I think you can't say they've had a good window until they actually get 3 points. I didn't realise that in the Championship they had 16 loan players.
Well, they lost 22 players and they signed 21.
So it kind of balances out, but at the same time, it's just like they kind of went, has he played in the Champions League? Yeah, well, he'll be all right then. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, you've got to buy players for a system. And I don't think they've done that. But again, did they have a system? Because they lost so many players that they probably can reinvent themselves this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So I mean, one that confused me the other day because I saw like the graphic that was like who had spent the most money. And it's like West Ham coming like 4th or 5th. I was like,
yeah.
And
to be fair, when you look at their window, it's actually a good window.
It is
as well.
I think it could go one of two ways though, because I think they've bought really good talents. I think Lucas Paqueta is a brilliant signing. I really thought.
I think Liverpool should have gone hijack.
Yeah, I really thought he'd have gone to a. I mean, clearly, so did the Lyon president. Did you see that?
Yeah,
that
was good.
Go somewhere really big. Scamacca, is that his name?
Scamacca, isn't it?
Scamacca.
Yeah.
He's the biggest 50-50 for me, I think, because as much as there's some really good talent there, he's also he does
raw still.
You know, score 2 goals and then strop back to Italy in January or something.
Yeah, I can see. It's like a big one, isn't it? It's big, like Mario Balotelli vibes.
Yeah,
like definitely talented. But I think for me, I think it's difficult to look past a lot of the top 6. I'm going to not include Liverpool in that because I don't think in the end we had a particularly great window. But I think Arsenal did.
It's difficult to look past City. I mean, they signed the players at 60 million euros. Profit.
Exactly. I think that Arsenal had a good window. I think Tottenham had a good window. I think that City had a good window. I think that in a way, United and Chelsea had good windows. And the reason I think that is only in a way is because you definitely improved areas that your team needed to improve in terms of you brought a world-class centre defensive midfielder, you brought Anthony in, you brought a left back to cover Shaw when he's injured. You brought in Martinez, who's already started into the team. But the only reason I think that it's not a great window is because of the money you spent on them. I think Casemiro is a really good signing, don't get me wrong, but a 30-year-old for £50 million. I know that I've said it in the past that football is going long longevity, but it's still too much money on someone who's it's 30 for me, and it's not gonna necessarily completely transform the team. Do you know what I mean?
This comes from the problem that I've had with United since the beginning of the window. It's just a complete lack of planning. It's a miss out on a target, and then it came out that we were looking at scouting reports from years gone past to sign players, which is where Casemiro came from. He was a I say scouting department, but he was a club target. I was trying to go back to the last podcast and find the clip, because I think we recorded the day of us being linked with Casemiro, and I said it, and you pulled such a good face. You were like,
"Did I?
What?" And then
I think it's
basically
more because I think it's more because he didn't fit the mold of player that you were looking at before. In terms of you were looking at De Jong, Rabiot, and Fabian Ruiz, and they're all like box-to-box eights that can sit in the six, but he's an out-and-out six. Like, he's not going any further forward than the six. So that's I think why I pulled the face. I think, as I said, I think he addresses that area of your team, but I just don't know if it's the right money. And then Anthony, don't get me started on that. I can't believe you spent £85 million on him. And the thing is, it's the same with a lot of players. Like, there's undoubtedly talent there. Like, he's obviously good, but he's not worth £85 million. I'm so sorry. And if you had a better scouting department, you'd have gone, okay, this guy does that. But Wilfried Zaha, who we signed 10 years ago, is in the last year of his contract, and he's scored 4 goals in 4 games already this season. We could probably sign him.
And we have a 25% sell on him, so he'd got a massive discount.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? But do you know what I mean? It's like, I just think and he's going to prove me wrong, because everything I've said so far this season has gone completely tits up. My fantasy team is all over the shop. I'm backing the wrong players. I'm second, but I'm just not doing what I wanted to do. Do you know what I mean?
The only reason I'm not second is because I backed Haaland twice.
Yeah. Twice, and he scored 2 hat-tricks. That's unbelievable. That's more points than I got this week in 2 days of Haaland. You know what I mean? But my point is, do you see my point? Is like, he will be good, but I just think the money is ridiculous.
The money's
and then it's the same with Chelsea. I think Chelsea have signed half decent players. Like, Koulibaly is good, Sterling is good, Zakaria is good, Aubameyang, that's mental. I don't think that's a good signing at all. 33 years old.
People seem to be right with that. I thought it was a bit strange, but
and I don't know. So that's where I'm a bit. But they've obviously improved the team. But Tuchel's having a nightmare. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's him. I don't know if they've brought in the wrong players. I did think, if I was Zakaria, I'd be fuming, because Tuchel said about him on Friday. He said, yeah, he can play really well on a back four, really well on a back three. I'd be like, oh my god,
they're going to play like the best one, I reckon.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. The Chelsea thing again. That's for later in the podcast, but it's just a bit of a weird window in the end, because they did sign Sterling from the top of the league, as you say, with Jesus and.
Do you know, it started off really promising for them.
Sterling, Koulibaly, that looks really good, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then if they'd have gotten, Fofana's a great signing, but if they'd gotten Koundé after that, and Rafinha, I'd have been like, that's a really solid window.
But again, with Fofana, he's not £75 million. He literally played 1 season because he did his ACL last year. So how can you justify £75 million on someone who had 1 half decent season? Do you know what I mean?
I'm starting to just forget money is even a thing. £63 million for Alexander Isak, who scored 4 non-penalty goals last year.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? The thing that I didn't realise, I watched him in the Euros, and I thought, he's really decent on the ball. He's really silky. He's massive, but he moves like Messi. In terms of he's really low centre of gravity. And then I checked his stats, and I went, oh my god, he scores 1 in 4.
It's
that's
weird.
Really bad.
We played Sociedad in the Europa League last year, and he was probably one of their only players that actually turned up, and you wonder why in those games that everybody watches him in, he turns up, and then when he goes into obscurity, he just disappears. He was good at he was good against. He had 10 seconds of really good football, which is when he scored his goal and then sat 2 players down, and he was definitely not offside. I'm not sure how that was called offside, but do you know what I mean? He had that, and then they gave him man of the match, and I was like, he did not influence the game in a way that and then they lost the game.
So how does that make any sense? But
I mean, the thing that I think is that there is always value in the market. There will always be value in the market. I mean, even for United, like signing Malacia for 12 million euros is a great signing. Like he's been really, really good.
Yeah.
Like Erling Haaland for 59 million is stupid.
Yeah.
There's always value. It's just finding it.
Yeah, I've brushed over the City thing, but they have actually had probably the best window because they sold a lot of players that clearly Pep had moved past and didn't want. I think Zinchenko might be the only player that maybe Pep was a bit like, I've got to move him on only because he wants to move on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Pep really liked Zinchenko. And when he was at City, I couldn't stand him. But now I watched him against Scotland in the qualifier and I've watched him a bit this season. He's just so good, isn't he? Like he is really, really good. And it's a really good bit of business for Arsenal because he covers a lot of positions. Yeah. But City have definitely won the window. Like they've definitely had the best window. And then I think it's Arsenal. And then it's difficult to say below that. But I think it's now time to look at who's had a poor window. And as I said earlier, I think Liverpool haven't had a very good window. If at the start of the season we discussed this before the first game, I'd have gone, yeah, it was a good window because we sold Mane, we sold a few players we let players go that were like fringe players and weren't getting many minutes. We brought in a very young Carvalho. We brought in a very young.
Great, by the way.
He's really, really good. And we brought in Calvin Ramsey to back up Trent, who's now injured or has been injured since we signed him, which I just think is mental. And we brought in Nunes, who was clearly like we were going in a different direction. And if you watch the Community Shield and then the first game where he came on against Fulham, you could definitely tell this guy, we've like adapted to him. But then he obviously got sent off. And then we had 3 games where basically all of our midfielders got injured.
Yeah.
And then we didn't address it. We beat Bournemouth 9-0. Well, yeah, but we beat Bournemouth 9-0 and basically went, we're all right. It's fine. Like, don't worry, guys. The team's got this mojo back. And then we struggled against Newcastle. Actually, I don't know if we struggled. I think we played all right, but Newcastle slowed the game right down and it kind of like reflected better on them than it did on us.
It's always going to reflect better on a team when they go to make it go to the last minute.
Yeah, for sure. And then Henderson did his hammy and they went, okay, we need a midfielder. And it was like, well, we knew that, but you kind of like neglected it. And the thing is, I think I said we could just sign anyone, and then they signed Arthur, and I kind of went, I did like that scrunched up face with the Casemiro thing again. I kind of went, and then I kind of thought, well, it's a like if you look at the deal as a whole, if you look at his stats, if you look at where he plays, if you look at what he's costing us now and what he's potentially going to cost us in next summer, it's an okay deal. It's not like who we wanted. We were looking at names like De Jong were being thrown around, Barella, Moises Caicedo, obviously Jude Bellingham. That we can't look over that. People like that, and we've ended up with Arthur, who no one ever thought would be a Liverpool player.
I mean, yeah, those 4 that you mentioned are all 80 to 100 million pound, probably.
Yeah,
Jude 150 pound midfielders. It's difficult to. I know that it's what's frustrating is that the gap is seeing the whole window.
I think the thing is, if all of our midfielders are fit, I'll go in like order of who I think our best midfielders are, and you have to bear with me here. So it goes for me: Thiago, Fabinho, Naby Keita, right now Harvey Elliott, Jordan Henderson, Fabio Carvalho, James Milner. Curtis Jones is probably above Milner actually, but we've got enough players there. Like we played like 2 or 3 times with Thiago, Keita, and Fabinho, and they were the best 2 or 3 games we played last season. We played them against City in the FA Cup, and it's like that's fine. But Thiago and Naby Keita are made of Weetabix. Like you can't rely on players like that. Do you know what I mean? And all it takes is, and then okay, we've got Ox as well, but I think Ox is someone who just needs to be moved along because he's clearly not. He's not found his form ever since he got his ACL, which obviously is completely like gutting for him because he was looking really good and we were going to build a team around him. But it's frustrating that it wasn't addressed. Even if it was like a youngster who really impressed in the Champions League last year, that kind of went, okay, he's going to get limited minutes, because we know that Carvalho, Elliott are versatile and can play along the front three, can play out wide and that sort of thing. So it's not stunting them at all, because they can, like, Elliott can do the Salah role, and I have no doubt about that. Like, he could just do that in the League Cup and stuff like that and still get minutes in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just really frustrating. And as I said, Arthur's not who I wanted, but all in all, I actually think he's going to be pretty okay for the season. Like, we're playing Napoli on Wednesday, I think, and I'm fairly certain he should start, and he'll have a good game because it's going to be his pace. He'll be allowed to like dictate the game. He's going to play the Thiago role, so that could be a really good game to bet him into. But all in all, it's not a great window for Liverpool.
I think you can say Liverpool didn't have a great window, but you have to also think about Leicester City.
Yeah, Leicester had the worst window of anyone, but they put themselves in that position because it's financial. So
yeah,
I'm sorry. Also, if Wesley Fofana wants to go, don't create a scene, let him go. That's what I think.
I think they just wanted to squeeze the extra 10 million out.
Yeah, but yeah, I know, but they have other options in that squad to sell on as well. Like, I think they should have probably cashed in on Vardy at some point, because he's 30 whatever, and build your team around someone else. You can't rely on a 36-year-old striker.
I really thought Maddison would go.
Yeah, but he's going this next summer, isn't he? If they don't perform this season,
they're just going to be in so much trouble.
And I also think a team like Villa didn't end up having a particularly great window because they brought in like big names, but again, none of them really suited the system. Do you know what I mean? Like Diego Carlos.
When you look at it on paper, it looks like a good window. It's one of those.
Yeah. I was trying to think about who else. Brighton actually ended up with Billy Gilmore on deadline day for £9 million. That's unbelievable business. So you look at them, they actually had a good window. They got rid of players, but they scouted and brought in players that were
just what Brighton
really
did.
It's so funny. They went, yeah, you can have Cucurella, but we'll have your young left back, and he's like a carbon copy of Cucurella. And Tuchel must be like, why have I done this? Or Todd Boehly must be like, why am I letting this guy run my club? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just going from bad to worse for me. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think that I don't know if it changes my opinion about how the Premier League will finish.
Mine's changed a bit, but not massively.
I still think the top four I called is probably going to be the top four. And that's excluding United. I think the Chelsea one looks more solid every day. Obviously, Liverpool are becoming one of those teams that I said to my dad yesterday, we're not in a title fight anymore. It's a top four battle. And it is like, that's all we can look at now. We've got to look at every game and look at the teams that we think are going to finish in the top four. But I still think we'll have enough to get there. And I still think we'll probably finish second. Because as soon as we have a few players fit, not many teams are better than us. So, yeah, I think that concludes the transfer talk, really. Is there anything you think might get done before January that could surprise us?
No, I don't think so. I think the things to look out for in January are Chelsea and Vardiol.
I think that at some point in the next couple of months, Liverpool will agree a pre-transfer for Jude Bellingham. So that's interesting. If we don't sign him next summer, we are so in the mud. I don't like that saying.
Sure he'll go to City. So
What, Jude?
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
They've never even had any like.
Doesn't matter. See, they don't do that.
Point.
They don't do that media shit. They just sign players when they want them.
Yeah. Well, I think that we've put all our eggs in that basket. I think he really wants to play for Liverpool as well. Like, in terms of he fits the system a lot more than he fits the City system. In terms of a lot of high action running, I don't know, like fast, explosive football instead of like the more calm natured. Do you know what I mean?
Bernardo Silva not wanting to be there. I see Erling Haaland already being there. I see Phil Foden being.
Yeah, okay, I can see that as well. I see where you're coming from. I think Saka apparently as well is on Liverpool City's radar, so I think that could be one to watch as well. But I don't know if that's for this
Yeah,
season or
and it'll
next
depend
season.
if he signs a contract. Because if he doesn't,
It's a free, isn't it? Or is it
yeah.
the next summer?
Well, no, I
It'll
don't
be
think it'll
free.
be free. I think it'll just be significantly less money.
Yeah, and Arsenal were kicking themselves. So yeah, I think that Jude Bellingham is one for next summer, but I think that we put all our eggs in that basket, and if we don't sign him, we're going to look like mugs. And if we don't sign him, we need to sign a Nico Barella or we need to sign a Frankie De Jong. Do you know what I mean? We've got to sign. Next summer has to be a statement midfielder. Nunez was our statement striker for Mane leaving, and Nunez will be good. I've no doubt about that. He had like a few flashes yesterday in the derby that I was really impressed with. I don't know if you saw the one where he brought it down in his chest and had the shot. Oh, it was unreal, wasn't it? And because I was saying to my dad, I was like, bring him off. Like, it's not worked. Put Firmino on, it's worked. And then he went and I went, keep him on. Because even if we've got 5 minutes, like a second of a shot, of a chance with him in the box, there's a chance. And he had another like snapshot that went straight at Pickford, but it was a really decent effort from what it was. So yeah, he will be good. But that leads us nicely on to Liverpool and the start of the season. Because obviously last time we started, it was before we played you.
Yeah.
And the week before I kind of felt all right about it. And then over the weekend, I just thought I've got a really bad feeling. And my brother.
I had the opposite. It was quite funny.
Me, my dad, and my brother sat down for dinner the day of it. And I kind of said to them, I have a really, really bad feeling about this. Like really, really bad. And it was true. So I just felt it. I just felt Liverpool weren't right. And
I spent the whole week being like really chill about it. So I was like, you know what? If we don't cop 3, then we've done really well.
Yeah.
And then going into the day, my dad's mate was there. And he was messaging my dad and he was like, right, here's all the reasons we're going to win tonight. And I started buying into it. I was like, what the fuck? I'm getting into this. But now I'm really, really nervous. Yeah. So I was great for the whole week. And then I got so nervous about half an hour before.
Yeah.
And then I lost my voice at Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, that was good. I just remember watching it like VAR's gonna fight something, it's fine, don't worry. You know what I mean? There's an offside in there somewhere. But no, we were not good and you were good. So that kind of balanced it out. I thought that we were much better after we conceded the first goal. For 10 minutes afterwards, we looked like we're definitely going to concede. And then it was like 10 minutes before half time and we looked pretty decent. And then we started second half quite brightly and then Rashford just scored, which was, I'm still like 50-50, like that looks offside. I don't know about you, like it's probably not. I don't know.
No, my dad celebrated. I held back because I was like, I'm not sure about that.
You know the Isaac offside, that was more onside than the Rashford one, if that makes any sense. You know
yeah,
what I mean? It was onside. I'm not gonna sit here and try and change the result because I literally can't. But you were definitely more value for it. If we had snuck a draw, it would have been a very lucky point, and it probably wouldn't have like reflected the game. But that was it. And then obviously we battered Bournemouth. There's not much to say about that because we did absolutely hammer them. They were just really poor. Scott Parker clearly didn't have the dressing room. And then we snuck past Newcastle.
Yeah.
Which was really lucky. But again, when they went down every 2 minutes, man, stuff them. Do you know what I mean? I just thought like when they were all complaining, I was like, Nick, that thing come out. Did you see it? That was like Nick Pope went down for 94 seconds. And then 94 seconds after the allotted added time, we got the corner. And it's like, well, the ref's not going to stop it then, is he? Like, it's an offensive corner. The ref's not going to stop the game. And then obviously they just failed to clear it. It's so funny because you see Lascelles as the ball goes in. He's clearly like taken a blow somewhere in the game. And he's like, I need to go down, but I can't because it's going to be really like, I'm like feigning injury. Like he's like limping. His like leg is like locked up and he's like, oh, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? And I was kind of just like, it was a bit of karma in the end. So that was good. And then obviously yesterday we struggled against Everton in the derby, which I think was, again, more to Everton's credit than to ours. We weren't awful. And we
weren't bad, but Everton
and so should we, to be fair.
Yeah,
where Pickford was just like prime Neuer, and he always does it against us. So, but it could have been 3-3. It could have been 3-0 either way, to be honest.
I don't think a draw was unfair, but I think
no, it definitely wasn't. And I don't think I feel hard done by. I think that it's more like we had actually good chances.
Yeah.
Like, Pickford was obviously really good. The Nunes save was like out of this world. Diaz hitting the post. He hits it. He strikes a ball weirdly. I'm not sure how he does it, but he doesn't like wrap his foot around it. He always like arrows it, which is a bit weird, but so be it. And then there was a really good 10 minutes in the second half after Firmino came on, which is baffling me that Firmino's back in form.
Yeah, he's nuts.
Because he was so bad against you, so bad. But he was really good against Bournemouth, really decent against Newcastle. And when he came on yesterday, he changed the game because the second half was the point where Everton had a lot of their good chances, but we were in control of the game and they were often on the counter attack when we were committed forward. So it was kind of you conceding those chances, I don't feel too bad about. But yeah, it is all coming down to the fact that the midfield has kind of collapsed this season, which is really, really frustrating. And I saw a lot of tweets yesterday, a lot of conflict in the fan base that were saying Liverpool aren't in transition or Liverpool are in transition.
Yeah.
And I think that, and then they were saying, so they aren't, it's the injuries. And I said, and they are, so let them be. And I think both can be true. And both are definitely true. We're definitely not the team that we were with Sadio Mane in it, because Diaz is a completely different player to Mane and Nunes is a completely different striker to what we've ever played with. But our team has been our start of the season has been significantly hampered by injuries. So when you're trying to influence a new system that clearly was working against City and clearly worked when Nunes came on against Fulham, and then you lose Thiago, Naby Keita, who are central to that system, you lose the player who is the system is built around, you then lose the two backups to those. Do you know what I mean? Because I think actually I was a bit harsh on Curtis Jones. I think he'd get minutes ahead of Milner if he was fit. And then you lose Henderson. And then you lose Jota, who would actually benefit this system a lot. It's not ideal at all. But that being said, the games we dropped points in, apart from United, we definitely should have not dropped points in.
Yep.
So it's a bit of a weird start to the season. Somehow we're only 5 points off City. And I know that sounds crazy, 6 games in to be talking about it
as well, isn't it?
Yeah. They've dropped points in 2 of their last 3 2 of their away games. And they've played 3. So that's a pattern, I think. It could be an early season scramble.
It's a small sample size.
But to only be 5 points away and have played as badly as we have, and for Arsenal to have their first big test today, if they pass it, it's all of a sudden okay, Arsenal were seriously meaning business. But Spurs are the team I was worried about as well.
We're still United. I'm not.
Yeah, but if they beat you 1-0 and you're the better team, it's fine. There's points against Arsenal. But say they turn up at Old Trafford and turn you over 3-0. It's they're actually meaning business. Do you know what I mean? And they will, because
4-0.
Yeah, but that was again. I think that's a slightly different side to what it is now, in terms of there's a little bit of belief in the team now, and there definitely is against Southampton. And I didn't watch much of the Leicester game. I shouldn't say that because I had to do the writing for it for goal, but I was very busy because it's deadline day. But from what I saw, Leicester again were slightly more on top, but you never really looked under threat.
Leicester were awful, mate.
I thought the second half they were all right.
They were better, and they were better in the second half. But honestly, I've never seen
I didn't watch the first half, so that's where my unfortunate thing comes in. I got told at half time you need to do the big match breakdown, and I was like, oh great, because I wasn't going to watch that game. But I've
not seen that Leicester side so devoid of confidence before.
Yeah, they're not great, are they?
That team is normally a big trouble side for United. And mate, we just passed it through them without even trying. And this isn't the United team that's mega confident at the the and we were just.
I think you are. I think that sounds stupid, but I think you are confident because the result against Liverpool was massive, and then you went to Southampton. But then you went to Southampton and were okay and came out with a result.
We were fine.
Which I think that's a really good sign, because it's we weren't great, but we managed to get a result against a team that we probably would have lost that game last season. So to come out with
come back to me at 6:30 today, and then it could be a completely different. It's very on the knife edge for me.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, Liverpool's a massive game. After the two games I spoke about last time we were talking,
Yeah.
To get the confidence that we can actually play football is good.
Yeah.
And then to play against Southampton on a pitch that looks like they've had a tractor driven over it.
Yeah, it's got a disease apparently.
Yeah, it's so weird. I'll tell you what, if Southampton can get used to playing on that pitch,
it'll be really difficult.
They're going to win so many home games this season.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult for teams to go there.
Yeah, and then that Leicester game, as I said, was strange because Leicester are so bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, they did grow into it in the second half, but again, it was kind of like the Southampton game. If you just hold on,
yeah, and we did it a few seasons ago. I can't remember if it was the season we won the league or not, but we won games 1-0, and it was like, if you can do that and play okay, because we weren't like blowing teams away, it's like, okay, that's a good sign. Like, our football's working, we can defend, we can keep clean sheets. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's positives there. So yeah, I think that the signs are looking a lot better. Again, today is a big test for both teams, I think, because it's the biggest team Arsenal have played, and with definitely the best players, and it's the biggest team you've played since you played Liverpool. So it's a big test for you to see if that was a freak result
I
or
almost
not.
said to my dad the other day, I was like, yeah, we're playing all right. We haven't played anyone. And I was like, oh no, we have.
We played Liverpool, yeah. But it kind of like, from there you haven't, do you know what I mean? You haven't played anyone that you would think you would struggle to after that result. But anyway, I think we can have a look at the league a little bit, because I think that Chelsea as a team we need to talk about. I think Aston Villa as well. And I think they're probably the only two that we need to touch on today. And we'll start on Chelsea.
Brighton and how.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can start on Brighton actually, because they're playing really well. They lost to Fulham the other day, but losing to Fulham this season is probably going to be no bad thing, because they look like they might stay up.
Yeah, I think so. Which is really weird, because it's just a team that you see come up and you're like, oh well.
Yeah, straight back down. But Mitrovic has kind of found his feet in the Premier League, which is good for them. And they've signed well. I think that they were mental on deadline day again. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So let's just go sign 4 players. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't need those 4 players that any of them add to the team. Like Carlos Vinicius.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
I'm sorry. Why? Because Mitrovic is in form, so he's not going to replace Mitrovic, is he? Dan James is a good one because he's quite good at the bottom of the league. Like, he's definitely fit for that level.
Yep.
Kazawa, again, lots of experience. And then Willian. Why? It's just mental, isn't it? But anyway, what are you going to say about Brighton?
No, just how impressive they've been. I've been pumping up Graham Potter for a very long time.
So have I, actually.
I know that they've signed well, but to lose the players that they have, still be where they are is really impressive.
Yeah, I think that they're a team to look out for over the next few years if Potter stays around for going for like Europe, pushing the Conference League.
I need a top 6 club to take a risk on him, or England's to take the risk.
When Klopp goes, if Potter's still at Brighton, it's a manager that we should genuinely be considering, because he will like change the style of football massively, and that's what you need. You don't need someone to go in and do the same thing, unless it's Pep Linders. If Pep Linders can take over from Klopp, then I'm fine with that. But if it's not, I'd quite like Graham Potter. But I don't know if that's a thing that Liverpool would. It is the FSG model to not go and get like a crazy name, but I don't know. But yeah, Chelsea.
Yeah, it's
a weird one.
They've bought so many defenders and can't defend.
Yeah. I can't attack either. So never great, is it? I think there was that stat. It was like before yesterday, Sterling was the only one of their front 5 to register a goal involvement this season.
Yeah,
which is really bad. Good for me, Goal Fantasy, but not great for anyone else. But yeah, so it's a bit of a weird one. I think as I predicted them outside the top 4, and I think that's probably actually going to be where they finish, because yesterday they definitely got away with one with the VAR decision.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, have you got anything else to add on that? Because I think
I was thinking about it yesterday, and I was like, in the traditional Chelsea model, Tuchel would be out,
be gone
soon.
And
I was thinking about it, and I was like, who's out of a job? And then Mauricio Pochettino ran into my head. And I was like, oh, no. Tuchel needs to keep his job. Tuchel can keep his job for as long as he wants it, I think.
Well, it's interesting to see what Bowley does. Like, his new management team, do they like pull the trigger early on and go, right, we're going to get our manager in, but they've given Tuchel what he wanted? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
So
they've given him enough defenders to play a free back, which is what he wants to do.
Mhm.
So are they going to pull the trigger? Probably not.
No.
If he's not, look, they're probably not going to win the Premier League.
No.
I think we're safe in saying that. They're probably not going to win the Champions League. Difficult to say, hasn't started yet. Domestic cups, they could be out of the first round of the domestic cup as they're playing Manchester City, and then they've only got the FA Cup
again, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, and then they've got the FA Cup, so they've probably got one chance at silverware. And if he doesn't win silverware, doesn't can qualify for the Champions League, he's probably out of a job.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Considering that they bought into Tuchel so much with the way that they sign players,
it's interesting though, for me, because I think that the other five, City, Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, United, are all definitely going to be in a better position than them come the end of the season. In terms of like, if Liverpool do finish in the top four, which I do think they will, it's top four again, probably a small title challenge, and we're hopefully going to compete for one of the cups. Not sure. City probably win the league, so that's a great position for them. Arsenal and Tottenham. Arsenal first time back in the Champions League in a long time. Tottenham, again 2 times on the 2 years on a bounce in the Champions League, and a really good manager. As long as he extends his contract, it's a lot more confidence in those teams than there is in Chelsea, if that makes sense. And it's a better proposition to go to one of those teams than it is to Chelsea, unless you want money. So, yeah, that's what I think.
It takes a while for the name of a club to stop being full.
Yeah,
and I mean, United signed Casemiro, man.
Yeah,
I mean that's a money move. Don't get me wrong. Money does talk, but you can always sign. Being a club that's called Chelsea, even if Liverpool didn't make the Champions League this season, which I think you will, you'd still be able to sign big players. It's
yeah, I think that
it's important, but it isn't always the end of the world.
Yeah, no, I am worried that if we didn't reach the Champions League, like for example, if we don't reach the Champions League, we've put all our eggs in that Jude Bellingham basket, so he doesn't join 100% if we don't reach the Champions League, because he's good enough to play. Like Real Madrid want him, he'll just go, I'll go play for Real Madrid because I'll probably win it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So I wonder how long it will be until Haaland goes to Madrid.
Yeah, it'll end of his contract, I reckon. I think he's got probably like a decent release clause in it as well.
I think he's got 150 at some point.
And they'll just trigger that, won't they? But yeah, so there you go. I think that's Chelsea in a nutshell. They're not like really. Next time we talk in 2 weeks, hopefully we'll have a little bit more to add to that, because we're playing them. So we'll probably do that after we've played them.
Yeah, definitely.
And
they've got Tottenham this week, haven't they?
No, they played Tottenham already. Tottenham have got City.
Of course they do. Yeah, sorry, they've got City.
So yeah, and then I think Villa was the only other thing I wanted to touch on, because obviously they have had an awful start this season. I think they're on 4 points, and obviously one of those points is against Manchester City, so it's a very positive point. And they were actually quite decent yesterday. They were very good value for that point. Probably should have won it as well.
Yep. Just annoying, but yeah.
But what do they do? Because Cara got a lot of stick when Ollie was in, saying they've got to get rid of him, and Gary would back him, and they were like, "You're only backing him because he's your mate." And Carragher has said that Villa must stick with Gerrard, and I not many people said it's because he's your mate, but it's probably because it's his mate. So what do Villa do if they don't pick up many more points in the coming weeks? Is it a case of like, okay, Steven Gerrard's time is coming to an end here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it does wind me up, because there is that Lampard Gerrard bias, and there will be for as long as they continue to manage. I don't see it. Managing in Scotland is a fucking massive difference to managing.
Yeah.
I don't think he thought it was.
No. We're playing Rangers in the Champions League, which is going to be amazing. The atmosphere is going to be unbelievable
Mhm.
in both stadiums. And I said to my dad, I said, if we go there and we don't put 3 or 4 past them, that's poor, because they are not much better than like Everton.
Yeah.
If I'm being 100% honest there, they signed Tom Lawrence from Derby. Yeah. He's a like mid-table championship standard player and he's playing the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? Like we should go and put 3 or 4 past them both times.
Mhm.
So, and that's the level. Do you know what I mean? Gerrard isn't, I don't think he's cut for Villa yet. He should have cut his trade at Rangers. He should have got them in the Champions League and played these big teams and got results and proved that he could do it. Do you know what I mean? The only problem is Villa invested a lot into his project, and it's in danger of becoming the Watford model, which is the Watford model is like they're Watford's players, they're not the manager's players.
To be honest, I never think you should sack someone before January, if I'm completely honest with you.
The World Cup's a big one this year because that's probably going to see a few people in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
God, the World Cup is so good for Liverpool and City.
It's so bad for us, I think. I know you say it's good, but
the best player doesn't play in the World Cup.
Our best player doesn't play in the World Cup, but it's the rhythm, because we struggle like in January anyway. Like, I was going to tweet it yesterday, like haven't even had our January blip yet, and this is the state of the club. You know, like previously under Klopp, last year was an anomaly, but in January it was like we're really decent, we're second or third, and then we'd like lose like 3 or 4 away games, and it's like we just fall apart. Like that season where we finished third, when we shouldn't have, like when we scraped Champions League football.
Yep.
We lost 6 in a row at home against. Do you know what I mean? It was bad. It was awful. But yeah, it's that's by the by now. But the World Cup's going to be a crazy thing. That's what
it's going to be
2 months away now. I'm quite excited for it. Hopefully, I've got quite a lot of work for it, so that'll be good fun. And then I think that about wraps up this episode today.
I think so.
There's not much else to go. As I said, hopefully the next time we play, there'll be a little bit more. We'll be able to talk about United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, City, Spurs. So there's going to be a bit to go on. Which means, and the start of the Champions League, so that would be good. So thank you very much for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Jamie, thank you for joining me.
No worries.
If you could like, comment, and subscribe, that'd be brilliant. Don't comment, actually. I don't want to have to read them. But if you could like and subscribe, that'd be brilliant. And we will see you soon. Bye, guys.
Cheers.